Hey guys, today we are going to do a walkthrough of QuoteIQ and all the newest features as of December 2025. And if at any point in the video you'd like to try QuoteIQ, you can do so with the first link in the comment section description below. That will take you straight to our website where you can start a 14-day free trial with any tier that we offer. Also, if you'd like to do a demo with myself or the team where we can kind of go a little bit deeper on any feature or maybe discuss any personal or business questions you might have specifically about what you're looking for in a platform like this, feel free to schedule a call with us using the second link in the comment section that you'll see in that same description we just mentioned. And we can meet up, do a nice Zoom video call slot together and go through it. Lastly, you might just notice as we go through this walkthrough together, some of the information on the screen will be blurred out. That is okay. We did that on purpose. When you use QuoteIQ, you don't have to worry about that happening on your end. But just for the sake of the video being here on YouTube, we just want to make sure we are following all of YouTube's policies and regulations on this. If we didn't blur some of this data, then they might take down the video. But with that being said, let's go ahead, jump right into this tutorial and hopefully knock out all the questions you have regarding QuoteIQ. Okay, so welcome into QuoteIQ. One thing I always like to mention as well is we do offer a mobile app. Even though I'm on the desktop version at the moment, the mobile app will have all the same capabilities. That's one very cool thing that we offer here. We don't limit you on the mobile app. So everything you do on the web, you can do on the mobile. So feel free to check that out. The layout will be extremely similar, so hopefully it should be pretty easy to kind of navigate by watching this video as well. But let's go ahead and we'll kind of start off with diving through some of the basics and just the typical flow that you would probably go through within QuoteIQ in our platform. So to start off with, we have our main page, our left-hand menu, and then a toolbar at the top. If you're on the app, you'll likely see it exactly like this. You'll just have that toolbar at the bottom. So that's really one of the only differences that you'll see. Starting out though, we're going to go through some of the basics when it comes to maybe the estimating and invoicing side of QuoteIQ, scheduling, things like that. So let's go ahead and start there. What I like to typically start with in my demos is our pipeline page. So this is a newer page that we just added because typically when you're starting that customer process and flow, you're starting with the leads. So this is a great way to track your leads and sales and different stages you want to track throughout that sales process or pipeline. So here's an example of one we have here. With our pipelines, the nice thing is too, you can build out your own pipelines custom. So you'll see I have different stages here. We have about 6 stages in this example, but feel free if you want to build out maybe a different one, kind of like we see here, you can do that. There's really not a limit at the moment to how many you can build, so as many as you want. Each pipeline stage will track a lead or whatever you want to use it for. Some people even use this for like project management, tracking different stages of a project, so you can do that as well. But either way, you can click in, it'll track some metrics and data for you. And you can also link these to customer profiles if you like. So definitely a few different options you have with the pipeline page here. So that's a great way to start in managing your leads. And we'll touch a little bit later. We do have a couple plug-in forms you can build into maybe a website, whatever it might be for leads as well. So we'll touch on that here soon. But this is a great way if you want to put them in manually and track them, feel free to use that pipeline page for it. Then from there, we have our estimate page. So typically, once you have pipeline leads, the next step is going to be hopefully sending them an estimate of some sorts and getting that situated with them. So with this, we have another pipeline within here, which will track all your different estimates. So these will your estimates will be auto sorted throughout this pipeline depending on what stage they're in. So it makes it really easy for you as the owner. You can come in, view details about that job just by clicking there, or maybe adding any comments to the estimate, whatever it might be. But we'll go ahead here and create our own estimate so we can walk you through how that works. So I'm going to do a standard estimate to start with. First step in this process would be selecting our customer. So as you can see, I already have a whole customer base here. If you have a new customer though, feel free to add them in here. Or we also separately have a contacts page right over here on the menu. So with all your contacts, they'll be stored here. So you can go in and manage all those customers. We'll store all their different contact information, addresses, things like that. And then we have a few metrics on the side, as well as any previous estimates, invoices, even things like our inspection forms or text messages. All that can be found here. So if you need to go in and access that, it'll all be sorted under that customer. So one good thing to note there, but we'll hop back into the estimate creation screen here. Okay, so let's build out our estimate. We'll select our customer, and then at the bottom it has estimate type. So you have a few options. This mainly refers to options for pricing, which is going to be our next step here in creating an estimate. So at QuoteIQ, we have 2 main ways you can price. You can do line item services or you can do packages. So really up to you on whatever fits your needs most. I'll go ahead and just keep it standard. And the way this works is the packages would be found under package estimates, and the line items would be either under standard or options. Only difference there is standard will factor all your line items into the total, as options will display each line item as optional. So if you want to give customers the option to select, feel free to use that options estimate type right there at the bottom. But I'll do a standard and we'll hit next and kind of go into our pricing screen. So for pricing, since I'm pricing with line item services, it'll preload all my pre-saved line item services. So you can probably have a bunch, most people do. So we also have the ability to create categories for these just to keep it organized, especially if you do multiple industries. Like in this case, you can have those organized all under different categories. And these line item services, they can be set up in advance in your services section, which is on that left-hand menu. Or if you wanted to go with packages, you can set those up under your account settings, which is also on that left-hand menu that we saw at the beginning. So feel free to set those up. But if you'd like to create any just for that specific job, then just hit add service and you can build it out unique just for that job and you're good to go. So really simple there. But let's see, we'll go ahead, maybe let's do a few different industries. I know that's pretty common with our users is they might be a business that does maybe 2 or 3 different industries all under one company umbrella. So let's do that here. We'll do maybe a pressure washing service here. And I have a few different preloaded for pressure washing. So let's see, I'm gonna go in and use a concrete driveway clean for this one. You'll see in my case, I have preloaded a square foot price. And what that is helpful for is our mapping tool, which I'll show you, which is this little map icon right here. So if you want to go in, measure anything out, we partner with Google Maps for this. So they have like a satellite image database, as you probably know, just using Google Maps for directions, whatever it might be. So that's the database we use. So it should be pretty up to date and clear as far as the images go. They have a pretty good database for that. And then I can come in, I can zoom in, whatever it might be, and I can go ahead and measure in square foot, linear foot, or there's even a few other options here. We have a whole little menu here, whatever the case might be. So I'll go ahead and measure out this cement concrete pad. And again, you might want to zoom in a little bit more, depends on how precise you want to make it. And I'm just kind of clicking as I go. The nice thing with this too is you can do this on the mobile app as well. So feel free. I've always found it a little easier on the website because you can use a mouse, but we definitely have it fully built out for the mobile app if you're on the go. But either way, once I'm done, I have my section there. It'll give me my square foot area on the left. So then I can simply at this point hit save to estimate. That builds it in with my square foot price. And then I can always make any edits here, maybe tweaking that square foot price a little bit, or we even have a flat rate box. If you just want to kind of override it, you can do that and just put a flat number that it can, go to instead of doing the calculations for you. So definitely a few options with that. So that's that there. As far as other industries, let's see, maybe we can do a maybe a landscaping. Let's say maybe we're doing some tree lighting on some trees. We have a per quantity price in this case. So maybe we're doing 10 lights for 10 trees. We can add that in there as well. Maybe tweak the price since they're doing 10. Let's lower it a little bit, give them a little bit of a deal on it. There we go. So either way, that's our pricing. There are some more customizations you can do, such as hourly rate pricing, or things like that. So feel free to kind of play around and check that out in our free trial, or if you're already with us, of course. So from that point would just be some kind of a review page. I always call it the review page here. So you can kind of review everything you have and make any tweaks, especially on the pricing side. So again, if you need to change anything like you see with my line items, I have pre-saved descriptions. I could always come in here and tweak those if needed. We also have our AI assistant, which we'll get into a little bit later, but if you ever need that, or we have an AI that can help you tweak those service descriptions too, maybe help you create a certain tone from them, whatever it might be, maybe go a little bit more in detail. So that's a feature we'll check out a little bit later, but wanted to mention that since we're here as well. And as you scroll down, you have the pricing section, so we can add any discounts, we can do dollar amounts or percents. Same goes for our deposit if we want to require a deposit, and then also any tax info if we want to add a tax percent. So all that can be set up here. We do have signature requirements. If you want to turn that on, they would sign an e-signature when they accept it, as we'll see here in a few moments, as well as if you have a terms and conditions or contract document, as long as it's a PDF, you can attach that directly in here. We also let you create like a whole database for these too. So if you wanted to pre-save those in a database, you can do that there. And then any notes or photos as well can be added in there. Or if you have the AI assistant feature we talked about just a moment ago, you can also add AI generated photos, which is really helpful, especially if you want to show maybe how a job would look once it's complete. So really cool there. But then from that point, we'll just go ahead and proceed and get this sent over to the customer, which for us, we can do by text or email with this little paper airplane icon. And what I'll do here is I'll actually copy the link so we can open it up on the customer side. That's really helpful too if you're ever on site with the customer, if you want to show them maybe on like a tablet that you might have. Feel free to copy the customer link and open it just like I'm doing, so that way you can do that as well on your side. So once we've done that, this is our estimate. As you can see, we have our company information right up here. Some of it might be blurred just for the sake of those YouTube regulations we were mentioning, but feel free when you're setting up your account, you can add in your own company logo, name, contact info, all that good stuff. So that way you're set to go and the customer has all that info on the estimate. And in this case, we'll go ahead and scroll down and we'll see our service line items here. So these are the ones that we filled out. Again, mine were pre-created, so that always helps save some time so I don't have to type that description from scratch every time. And then in this case, we're good to go. We have our services priced and ready. Customers can see that very clearly. And then some other details at the bottom, such as my attached terms and conditions document. In my case, I don't have any photos. I don't really have any notes here, but feel free to add those into yours if you want to as well. So that's that part of it. Customers can also download a PDF version just by hitting PDF right there. So in case they want to print it out, that's a great way to do it. And then when they're ready to move forward, they can simply accept. They can also sign an e-signature. As you remember, we turned that on here when we set up our estimate. So they sign that. It also lets them know that by signing, they're agreeing to the terms and conditions. So we do that instead of a traditional DocuSign approach, because for us, it's just so much easier than having customers go through a document, try to find 3 or 4 spots where they can sign it. Instead, they just sign the estimate as a whole and say that they agree to all the terms and conditions. Makes it really easy and simple for everyone. And yeah, from that point, they can go ahead and accept it and they'd be all set from there. Or if you did have a deposit, they could pay that at this point in time as well. So but yeah, that would be our estimate process. And so we'll move on from there into scheduling. So with scheduling, we have two main ways you can schedule. One of them just popped up right here, which is our self-scheduling tool. So really cool. The way we do that is we have it linked to the estimate. And you might see some people, they will maybe build it into their website, just like a scheduling section. We don't do that on purpose because then you're going to have random people scheduling with you and you don't know, are these people that are connected to a job or are they just going to waste your time? So it's nice to have it connected to the estimates. That way you know that everyone that's scheduling, doing the self-scheduling, they're actually people that are worth the time. They have a job, they have an estimate that's been accepted, whatever the nature might be, right? So with this, they can hit schedule now, and then it'll pull up your calendar availability based on your business hours, which you would set up, and then of course what availability you have for that specific day or week. And they can simply come in, find a slot that works for them, and then confirm it. So that'll do two things. It'll one, get that set form, but the main thing being it'll send it over to you as the owner for a final approval. We actually have a section which I'll kind of show you on the left-hand menu under inbox where you can go to schedule requests. So when people do this, you can come in here, see those requests, and then approve it if it's a good fit. Or if not, just hit reschedule and you can propose another time for it for the job. So really simple and easy to use there. But if you did want to schedule it manually, which I know a lot of people still will do, you just come into this estimate pipeline again, and we'll go locate our job, which I think is this one here. Perfect. Okay. And then we'll just hit schedule. So really simple there. And then we can go a little bit more in detail even with these so you can put the date and time that works for you. So let's do December 9th. Let's say 2:30 to 4:30. Just a 2-hour job will do. When you're setting up the time too, you can also schedule it all day. So if you just want to schedule an all-day job, feel free to do that. We also have reoccurring jobs. So if you want to schedule a job that repeats, you can do that here. And we do let you go pretty in depth with it. Just select the custom option if you want to go more in depth. And you can select, is it going to be every 5 days? Is it going to be every 2 weeks? Maybe on a Wednesday? Are we doing it every other month on a first Monday of the month? So whatever it might be, we let you go pretty in depth with that. So that way you can have it exactly as you need it on your calendar. Okay, so once we have the scheduling set up, I'll turn mine off for reoccurring. You can also do any job notes. So again, anything you want to note on the job, feel free to mark that there. And then lastly, if you have any employees or crews that you want to assign this job to, you can do that here. So let's say we'll go ahead and assign it to maybe 2 employees here. So there we go. Or if you're like, hey, you know what? I just have a crew, which you can build out in our employee section. We'll cover that here soon. You could just assign it to the crew altogether if that's easier. But for me, we'll go with the employee route and we'll go ahead and confirm the scheduling for it. Okay, perfect. So what that'll do is a couple things. It'll first, of course, get it on the calendar, but also it'll turn it into a job, which is what we see here. This is called our job card. So pretty much it's just our job and you can go in and see all the details from it or add details as you go. So this can be accessed whether it's from the calendar or which we'll take a look at in just a sec, or we also have our job list page. Okay, so we have your job list page here. You can come in here and view all your jobs. You can search by customer if needed, or you can also sort it by status or job type. So great to have there. So we can go in, we can view our job here. And then of course we have our calendar. So let's view it from the calendar there. We can view all the details. And then this would be our calendar where we have a monthly and a daily view. So we'll go in the daily view, we'll access our job here. So there we go. Here's our job we just scheduled. We can go in, see the details for it, see any job notes that we would have left. And again, if you need to add additional notes, you can come in here and do that. You can do job photos if you want to do for internal purposes and viewing. You can add photos in here for you and your team. And then one cool feature we have is our job report section. So if you want to track those profit margins for the job, make sure you're staying on course with your goals for it. You can do that here and you can manually add in, labor costs. So that way you can add that in by even employee if you'd like. Go a little bit more advanced or basic with it if you like to with our, time tracker tool, which we'll take a look at soon. And then we also have expense tracking, which can go in, add some expenses and be all set from there as well. So either way, this will track your profit margins. So that way you can make sure you're on par for that job and you're good to go. And then a few other things you can do from the job card. One would be our job timer, especially for whether it's you or a technician going out to do the job. This is great for once you get on site, just to time how long it is from start to finish. We have our appointment confirmation texts or emails. Those can be sent from the job card as well. So these will even autofill, or you can have the AI go ahead and write it up for you. And then lastly, we have on the way text messages. So really great there just to send when you're about to head out and gives the customer a great idea of your ETA. That would be our job card section on the calendar. A few other things we can do from the calendar. One would be filtering it by employee. So that's always helpful, especially if you do have multiple employees. We can also filter it by crew if that's easier. We do also offer map view. So map view is really nice for scheduling. Okay, so on map view, you can kind of come in here and see, especially for scheduling, what part of town you'll be on for that day or for that week. So we can zoom in and kind of access that, and we can also filter it by day or week on here. So really helpful there for just viewing where you're going to be at for that time period on the calendar. You can also schedule jobs from scratch. If you don't want them to be kind of connected to an estimate, you can create them right here within the calendar or on our job list page that we looked at earlier. And then we also have calendar event creation. So great for if you're just going out to a property to maybe inspect or give an estimate or even just a doctor's appointment, whatever it might be, you can come in here, block that off, even assign it to employees or crews so you know who's attached to. And you can even make these reoccurring as well if you'd like. And then within the daily view, we have our route optimization. So that's great for whoever's going out to do the jobs that day, whether it's you or a technician. You can come in here and this uses Google Maps data. So pretty much it'll build out the best route for you based on the jobs that you have. The nice thing is too, if you even want it to build out the job order, it can. So just assign all the jobs to the same time slot and then Google Maps can build out the best order to do those jobs in as well. So both options, whether it's just the route and driving or even the order, if you have, 5 or more jobs in a day, that might be helpful. So feel free to use this route optimization tool as well. Then we also have employee timeline. If you just want to kind of see the breakdown by employee, you can do that here as well, especially if you have multiple employees. This could be helpful too, just for a quick breakdown. So that is our calendar. That sums up a lot of it. And from that point, once the job's complete, then just simply come in, find that job, whether it's on the calendar or in the job list, and then we can mark it as complete. So we'll hit complete, we'll mark it as done, so that way we can track it being done. And then when we're ready, we can go back in, hit complete job again, and hit invoice. What this will do is this will transfer all of our job data over to our final invoice. And you can come in here, you can make any tweaks to it. So if you ended up maybe doing a little bit of extra, you maybe tweak that price a little bit, maybe tweak the description of what you did, or even add any additional services you might have done while you were on the job. You can, of course, tweak anything on the pricing side, just like we see here, and just like we saw earlier with our estimates. And then you can add any notes, photos, payment terms. And then if you want customers to sign the invoice, they can do that as well. Just by turning this on, they can just sign a signature on the invoice side. So that would be that there. And pretty much what that'll do is that'll create an invoice, which will then be sent out to the customer the same way as we did our estimates. Now, our invoices, they're very similar looking to our estimates. Only difference is we do have a payment portal option. So we partner with Stripe for credit and debit card processing. So if you want to have that, built into your invoices, then make sure just to go to account settings and go to QuoteIQ payments. And then from there, you can build out your Stripe connection. With Stripe, they don't charge you any monthly fees. They will just charge you a basic transaction fee, and you just have to create an account with them. So feel free to do that. If you need any help, let us know. We'd be happy to help with that. And then from there, that'll be built into all your invoices. So if customers want to pay directly through the invoice, they can. But if they don't, you can still come into this invoice page here, find your invoice, and then mark it as paid manually. So we can do that here. And that way we can still put the date they paid on. So maybe they paid us yesterday. Maybe they rounded up here in this case to 530, let's say. And then they also paid by check. So let's go ahead and track that here. So really it's simple. And once you're done, just hit paid. And that way that'll go ahead and mark it as paid for you. Put it in our paid column right up here at the top. And then from there, also factored in with all your data and analytics that you have for us. So really simple there. We also offer subscription invoices. Those are great for any reoccurring customers. This would work with the Stripe payment portal. So Stripe will keep the card on file. And then from there, we can communicate with Stripe that way they can auto charge it. And you'd pretty much set up how often it's charged. So that way, you're good to go with auto billing and auto payments for those reoccurring customers. So that's that there. We also offer expense tracking. So if you want to track expenses, we kind of saw this earlier within the job. You can also do it here from our expense page. And with this, you can go in and go a little bit more in detail with categories and photos. So great to have there. And descriptions, of course. And then we also have inventory tracking within this section as well. So feel free to track any inventory. We have a few different categories here, such as products, locations, especially for equipment, suppliers, order tracking, and transaction tracking. So helpful there. Even for a few of these, like orders, you can also download that into a CSV spreadsheet whenever you need it, if you need a copy. Same goes for our invoices and expenses. You can download those as well into spreadsheets. And we do also offer a QuickBooks sync where you can export the data out to QuickBooks as well. That would be some of our bookkeeping features there. And we do also offer a dashboard where all that data will feed into as well. So feel free to use this for tracking all those different data and metrics. So this is kind of an example of how it looks. You'll see a bunch of different categories here, and most of them have filters where you can filter it by dates, whether it be for that week, that month, that quarter, whatever it might be, that year. You can track that here in a few different sections. So we always recommend using that just to come in here and get a good snapshot of how business is going for that time period. So that's our analytics dashboard. And then we'll move on here into our forms page. So this lets you track notes and photos a little bit more in detail and more in depth. So probably our main form would be our inspection form here. And these forms here, they're all bundled under a feature that we call QuoteIQ Cam. So with QuoteIQ Cam, it lets you, of course, track your photos and notes through these forms and create these forms as we'll see in a sec. But the other nice thing it does is it lets you take the photos directly through the app. So you don't have to anymore, take it on your phone, then store it and then upload it and then remember to delete it on your phone so your storage doesn't get, completely wiped. So with that, you can, take it directly through the app and you're good to go. We'll store all of our, photos and notes that you make into your account for you within our cloud storage. And that way, with things like our inspection form too, you'll see how we can fill that out. You can also send copies of these to customers, which is nice. So let's fill this out together. With the inspection form, we'll start by putting in our customer. So we can do that here. And again, my customer list is there. That way it can save to that contact profile that we saw earlier. Then from there, we can add in our technician name, whether it's you or a technician, we can add that in. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then we can go ahead and select our form. So with the inspection form, you can actually build out your own templates. And this is kind of an example where you can really do as many as you want. And with these forms, you can have them tailored to different, whether it's a different industry like you kind of see with mine, or maybe different scenarios that you're going to be doing on a reoccurring basis, whatever it is that you want your team to fill out. And then with these forms, here's a good example here. We do almost like checklist style approach where it's going to be all numbered prompts. So everything is kind of numbered. And with the prompts themselves, you do get some customization options. As you see, we have about 3 or 4 different prompt types that you can choose from when you create these forms. And here's a few options that you see with mine. And then you get full customization over the titles of each prompt, of course. You can always move them around if needed to reorder it. So feel free there. And then when filling these out, just simply fill out the prompt. And then you can also add any comments to each prompt if needed. And then that way you're good to go there. And of course, for the photos, just select the little camera icon here, and that'll let you take the photos. Or if you do have them on your phone already, you can add them in as well. So pretty simple. So that would be our inspection form. Once you're done with these, just save it at the bottom, and then you can also send a copy of it to customers, especially for things like liability protection. It's really helpful for. So there's that. We also offer job forms. These are more simplified, kind of designed if you're just on the go. You don't really want all the organization or templating that we have of the inspection form. If you just want to note some photos and notes in one place, you can do that here, and this will save to the customer profile. So just a giant text box, and then you can add as many photos to these as you want. So very simplified. Then our other main section we have is our before and after picture generator. So really helpful to generate those maybe for social media or marketing purposes. And one cool thing with our AI assistant feature that we talked about earlier is that AI can also generate before and after pictures for you, which is really cool, especially if you want to kind of give customers a visual of how they should expect the finished job or work to look once complete. The AI can do that. Just input the before photos in here first, and then you'll just describe to the AI what the job is doing, so what you're doing on the job, and the AI will generate the after photos of how it should look once completed. So really cool there to offer that to customers as well. So that would be our QuoteIQ Cam feature under our forms section there. Then from that point, I'll go ahead and go in our settings here. We're going to look at some of our plugin forms that you can actually plug in or build outside of QuoteIQ into things such as maybe a business website, or maybe building it into a scannable QR code on a flyer, things like that, just for leads and those purposes. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We'll go down to self-service on our settings, and then we have 2 main forms we'll look at. We have our InstaQuote form and our contact form. So let's take a look at those. I'll start with the contact form. So we'll go ahead and copy our link and open it up just to get a look of how it looks on the customer side. But as you see in here, we do have iframe code provided for you. So that way, if you want to build it into your website directly, that's a great way to do it. But here's the form itself. So you'll see it's very simple and straightforward, but great for people that maybe need to reach out to you if it's after business hours, or if they just don't have time to call you during their day. They could at least go to your website, fill this out with their contact info, and then an option at the bottom where they can fill out what they're requesting. From there, it gets sent directly into your QuoteIQ account where you can go ahead and follow up with them from there. And those would be found right under inbox where it says contact requests. Just like this. Very nice and simple there. Then we'll make our way back to the settings page and we'll check out InstaQuote. So InstaQuote is going to be the more advanced version of the contact form. It's an interactive form that lets customers get an instant price, right? So really cool. It's a step above where we're trying to get that price in their hands as soon as possible because again, just as most industries are finding, the sooner the customer gets a price in their hands, or I guess the lead in that case, hopefully customer, the more likely they are to go with your business. And really, at the end of the day, that's the main reason they're on their website. That's the main reason they're on your website in the first place, is to get a price. So this allows a win-win for you both because they get their price. And then for you, it also helps weed out customers that may not be interested in your price range. So you don't have to waste time on, numerous phone calls and emails trying to get a price to them over the course of a few days. You can actually just, go ahead and have InstaQuote take care of that for you. So here's an example from the customer side. This would be for a pressure washing business in this case. So we'll go ahead and fill it out like a customer, right? So you'd start as the owner by putting in what services you want to be chosen on here. So customers can select, or I guess leads can select which ones they want to price for. So let's do maybe a house wash in this case. And then once that's selected, then questions would pop up that the lead would answer, right? So on the back end, you're in charge of creating these questions. So you get full creative and customizable control over these, which is nice. So you can create options such as a multiple choice question like we see here, maybe a dimensions-based question like linear foot, square foot. There we go. We'll fill these out here, maybe a yes or no question. And pretty much when you're creating these on the back end, you're choosing not only the questions, but you're choosing how the questions would affect and tailor the price to that specific job. So the way it works is we have you start off with putting a minimum price in for each service. And again, that would right be on this back end. We call this page the pricing matrix. So we can come in here, have a minimum price for each service, and then from there for each question, when you create this, you're choosing how it would affect it either by a fixed dollar amount or a percent. So really simple there. This is how you would set that up. If you need any help with that, feel free to book a demo with us. We can always walk you through that step by step if needed, because everyone's is going to be a little bit different, I'd imagine. But with this, once the customer is done answering their questions, they can simply hit continue. Then from there, put in all their contact info. So we can make sure to grab that for you. And then from there, it generates an estimate right then and there, just like our estimate here that we saw earlier, but of course, in this case, tailored to how they filled out the InstaQuote interactive form. So hopefully that gives you a few pointers on how it works, but feel free to check that out. It is a great feature there just to help save time for you and your prospective customers, right? So from that point, we'll kind of round it out with some of our communications features. We do have one being our ClientHub. This is for in-app texting and calling. So this is kind of similar to other platforms, maybe like a Google Voice if you've ever used that before, where in our case, we're going to generate a phone number for you. So you pick your area code, we generate the number, and then from there you can use that number for all your texting and calling needs, which is really helpful there. Whether it's maybe texting over an estimate or invoice or any conversations about scheduling, or within the app, if you want to answer an inbound call or make an outbound call, this is a great place to do that. And again, for these conversations, you'll have all of them linked to the customer profile that we saw earlier. And then you can always come in here and search by customer in case you want to pull it up here. So very simple. So that would be our ClientHub. Then we also have virtual call teams. This takes it a step further where we actually introduce an AI to help make those inbound and outbound calls for you. So really cool, kind of a step above, and we'll kind of walk you through how this works. So first would be setting up your AI agent. So with the AI, you have probably about 15 or 16 different voice options. We try to give you a bunch in there. All of them are super realistic, very human sounding. At least we like to think so, but feel free to try it out and tell us what you think. So once you have your voice selected, then from there you'd create a knowledge database for the AI. So this allows you to put any type of text or even link pages of your business website to the AI. So that way it can scan and read and have a whole database of information to answer any questions from leads or customers that are calling in. So really helpful there. You can put in any info you want. Some people even put pricing information. So that way it almost acts similar to InstaQuote where people call in. The AI can even give pricing ranges on what they'd expect to pay for certain jobs. If you want to go that route, feel free. Even things like scheduling, maybe putting in their business hours or when you normally schedule for certain areas. But anyways, that would be our knowledge database. Then for the calls, whether it's inbound or outbound, the AI will track a full summary and transcript from each call. You can also set it up so that way the AI can go ahead and email you copies of this transcript whenever calls come in. And then if you'd like, the AI can also track a recording for you. So whenever you need to, you can go in here and load it up, and that way you can listen back to the call and hear any spots of it if needed. And it'll track different data too, such as how long it was or when they called in or things like that. So here's our example. Here is just about a 4-minute call. We won't listen to it right now, but if you ever want some more information on it, just let us know. Same goes for the outbound calls. And with these would be almost a voicemail that the AI will leave. So great for different check-ins with customers or different things you might want to mention to them, whether it's an announcement or something like that. So that would be our AI receptionist with our virtual call team. We also have some marketing features we can check out real quick. One of them is our automation campaigns. These are for automated text and email follow-ups and check-ins, reminders, things like that. So really cool just for keeping tabs on customers and having everything be automated. So as you see with these messages, it kind of follows a pipeline up here, a four-stage pipeline. So depending on what stage they're in will depend on what type of messages get sent out to the customer or lead. So such as maybe our estimate scheduled section where we can send out appointment reminders, or estimate created, more for leads that have received an estimate but haven't moved forward yet. You can check in with them. And then maybe probably the most popular one would be our invoice paid category. So just following up down the road after the invoice has been paid, or even immediately after, maybe with a link to leave a business review, or maybe 6 months later, just checking in, whatever it might be. So feel free to set these up, and you can also keep logs with all the info from the previous messages. But for each one, you can come in, control when it gets sent out for that stage in the pipeline, if it's text or email, and then of course what it says. So like in this case, we can even add some photos, or we have a few autofill options over here where you can kind of customize it and have it autofill some personal info like their name. And you can also add links as well. So definitely a few options to customize these for you. Let's see, from there, we also have text and email blasts. These are for mass texting and emailing campaigns, so great for announcements, maybe seasonal specials, check-ins, whatever it might be. So with this, you create your campaigns. Mine didn't really do too well here, obviously, it's just a testing one. But with your campaigns, you can track some data points with each, such as how many were delivered, opened, clicked on, things like that. And then with the campaigns, you can also create customer contact lists or groups. So really helpful there if you want to create custom groups to send these campaigns out to. We even have a tagging system. So if you want to send them only to, certain contacts with a certain tag in their profile, you can utilize that tagging system for that as well. And just set up the tags within your contacts page that we were in earlier for all your customer profiles. So with that, that would be our text and email blasts. Then we also have employee management right over here on the left. So for adding employees, just come in here. You can add them directly with their email address. And that way then you can go in and edit, kind of what permissions they'd have access to. So again, everything's fully customizable for these permissions. That way you can make sure everything is tailored exactly to that employee. And once that's done, they pretty much log in with a special invite we would send over with a special password. Then they have access to their portal. On this page, you can also build out crews if you'd like to do that, as we saw earlier when we were assigning jobs on the calendar. Then with the Employee Hub area, we have messaging as well. We call this our team chat. So if you want to text between different employees or crews all together, you can do that here. There's no phone number required for this, so it's really easy to use. Great for everyone to participate in for internal messaging. So that's our team chat. We do also offer live GPS tracking. If you ever need to view location of your team members, just come in here. As long as they have the app downloaded and their phones turned on, you can make it where you can access their location whenever you need to. So that would be done here. And lastly would be time tracker. If you need any employees to clock in and clock out and kind of log their hours and track their hours, they can do that here. They just come in, they can clock in, take breaks, clock out, and then they can also track their timesheets. And then as the owner, you can also go in, edit any of these timesheets whenever you need to, and go a little bit more in depth and detail if needed. That would be our time tracker feature there with our employees. Then lastly, from there, just wrapping it up, we have a few extra features you can look into adding on to your plans. One would be our AI website builder, which you'll see linked right here. So mine's already generated, but I can go ahead and kind of pull up an example of what one looks like here. Okay, so with our AI website builder, the AI will generate a multi-page website for you. If you wanted to add this on to any of your plans, feel free to check this out. We do also offer a free trial for this, but it's very neat. The AI will generate probably about 6 or 7 pages to start with, including a home page just like this. And then from there, you can go in, you can make any edits to it. You can also use the AI for editing. And then we also have a bunch of pre-built templates for you to use as well to make it really easy and streamlined. Probably about 40 plus different options there for these different sections like you see. Then of course, the AI will also generate photos for you, which hopefully some of them will be a good fit to keep on your website. That would be our AI website builder. We also offer domain hosting for this. So if you want to check this out, feel free to sign up and do a free trial for that. And then we also have our AI assistant, which I know we talked about a little bit throughout the course of the demo here. AI assistant, we did look at a few of them, such as the before and after picture generator. Like we saw here earlier, you can generate that with AI. Or maybe if you're just generating a text box, whether it's for like a service description or things like that, you can have the AI generate this for you. So it can help you with the tone of it, or maybe adding more details in the description. Even even for text messages in our ClientHub, you can use the AI for generating those. So you can use the AI for generating those text messages too in the ClientHub here if you need to. So feel free to type those as well. And then lastly, one cool thing with the AI, probably the most popular way people use the AI assistant is our AI estimator. So this is really cool. We see it right here on the left with AI estimates. So this is really the main reason people use this is to generate their own estimates using AI, especially if you're in a new industry that maybe you have a business, but you're starting a new one to go alongside with it in a new industry or just expanding your existing business. The AI estimator can really help with knowing how to price those jobs and how to just form those estimates for newer industries that you're in. Or even if you're just experienced in your industry, but you want to save on extra time, that's a great tool for that. And it works very simply. You'd come in here, put in a description for, what you want the AI estimator to generate for you. So a few sentences is always great. Probably the more details, the better. And then you add in your photos. So you can take them through the app or add them from your gallery, but really helpful there just to give the AI a few visual components there to kind of know what the job is going to be based along. From there, within about probably 15, 20 seconds, the AI will process that information. It'll then think of a few extra questions to ask you in order to get everything generated. And then from there, probably about 15, 20 seconds more, it'll then have your estimate fully generated with even price suggestions included. And from there, you can make any tweaks and get that sent over to the customer. And of course, track it within our estimate pipeline like we saw earlier. So really recommend checking that out. Again, that's under AI estimates, and that is with our AI assistant tool. If you want to explore adding on the AI assistant or the AI website builder, just come down into your subscription package page and you can add on those features there if needed. To wrap it up, that really concludes everything that we have within our QuoteIQ platform at the moment. So we hope that this tutorial was helpful and this walkthrough give you a few different ways to maybe approach the platform, whether you're a free trial user, whether you're with us for 3 or 4 months, or whether this is your first time checking out our platform. So either way, if you need anything else, just visit our website, which is myquoteiq.com, which we were on earlier. At the bottom, which I can make my way over there real quick to show you, myquoteiq.com. We have all of our pricing and we have different pages on our website for almost every feature that I went over if you want to check that out, including a whole resource section with different articles that can help, or maybe a link to our YouTube page or Facebook group. So feel free to check those out. If you need to reach out to our support team, just scroll all the way to the bottom here. You'll see our support phone number and our email address, so reach out to us there. We also have a chat in this little chat box. So if you need any help, feel free to put a chat in there with the team. And then of course, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and on X or Twitter. So that way you can be up to date with everything that we're coming out with within QuoteIQ. But again, thanks for listening, and please feel free to let us know if you need anything else. Thanks so much.